Before we begin, this series contains mature themes including infidelity, family betrayal, and emotional confrontation. Viewer discretion is advised. Disclaimer: this is a fictional narrative for educational and entertainment purposes. All legal strategies should be discussed with licensed attorneys in your jurisdiction. If you're experiencing similar situations, please seek professional support.
My mother's voice shook with anger on the phone. If you go through with this, if you humiliate your sister in public at her event, you will destroy this family. And I will never forgive you. I sat in my father's study, looking at the evidence spread across his desk. The recording, the hotel receipts, the theft from 10 years ago, the unpaid rent, all of it. Mom, I said quietly, Bethany destroyed this family when she got into bed with my husband. I'm just refusing to pretend it didn't happen. You're being cruel, she said, her voice breaking. This isn't who you are. But maybe it was. Maybe I'd spent my whole life being too kind, too understanding, too willing to absorb other people's cruelty to keep the peace. Maybe it was time to stop. In 6 days, everything would explode. But first, I had to survive the pressure to stay silent. 2 days ago, I set a trap and recorded Dylan and Bethany planning to forge my signature to steal my house. During that recording, I discovered my sister is pregnant with my husband's baby, but she's been letting another man, Leo, believe it's his while stealing his $12,000 in savings. I found Leo at the Meridian Jazz Club and told him the truth. He's filing a police report for fraud and plans to confront Bethany at her boutique relaunch in 6 days. My father protected me with an irrevocable trust. My grandmother revealed Bethany stole $8,000 from the family business 10 years ago. Bethany's boutique sits on my property. She owes me $43,000 in unpaid rent. Everything is in place for the confrontation. But the hardest part isn't gathering evidence. It's having the courage to use it when everyone you love is telling you not to. The call from my mother came 3 days after I'd met Leo. I was sitting in Sloane's office, reviewing the final eviction documents, when my phone rang. Mom flashed on the screen. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Amber, she said without preamble. We need to talk about what you're planning. My stomach dropped. What am I planning? Don't play games with me, Mom said, her voice tight. Bethany told me everything. About the eviction notice. About you hiring lawyers. About you threatening to ruin her event. I looked at Sloane, who raised an eyebrow. I'm not threatening anything, Mom, I said carefully. I'm enforcing a legal contract. Bethany hasn't paid rent in 11 months. That's $43,000. That building belonged to your father, Mom said. It should be split between both of you. No, Mom. Dad placed it in a trust with me as sole beneficiary. He did that for a reason. What reason? Mom demanded. I took a breath. This was the moment. Tell her about the theft from 10 years ago, or stay silent. Did Dad ever tell you about the $8,000 Bethany stole? I asked quietly. The silence on the other end was deafening. That was a misunderstanding, Mom said finally, her voice strained. A bookkeeping error. Your father overreacted. It wasn't a misunderstanding, I interrupted. Bethany stole from client escrow accounts for 6 months. When Dad caught her, she tried to blame me. He made her pay it back, but he never trusted her again. That's why he restructured the trust. I don't believe you, Mom said, but her voice wavered. Ask Grandma Elodie, I said. She has all the documents. The police reports. The repayment records. Everything. Amber, please. Mom's voice broke. Don't do this. Don't air family business in public. Don't destroy your sister. She's struggling. She's pregnant. She needs support, not. She's pregnant with my husband's baby, I said quietly. And she's been lying to another man about it while stealing his life savings. My mother was silent for a long moment. How did you? She started. I have evidence, Mom. Recordings. Documents. Witnesses. This isn't about me being vindictive. This is about holding people accountable for their choices. If you go through with this, Mom said slowly, if you humiliate your sister at her event, if you make this public, you will destroy this family. And I will never forgive you. The ultimatum hung in the air between us. I already lost the family I thought I had, I said. The one where my sister didn't sleep with my husband. The one where my mother would defend the person who was wronged instead of the person who did wrong. I'm just accepting reality. My mother hung up without another word. After Mom's call, I sat in my car outside Sloane's office for 20 minutes, unable to start the engine. Was I going too far? Was this about justice or revenge? Would I regret this public confrontation for the rest of my life? My phone buzzed. A text from Bethany. Please, Amber. Can we talk? Just the two of us. I know I hurt you. I know I was wrong. But this doesn't have to be a war. We're still sisters. Please. I stared at that message. Part of me wanted to believe her. Wanted to think that maybe, somehow, we could fix this. That maybe she was genuinely sorry. But then I remembered the recording. Her voice, cold and calculating. Leo's going to be devastated when he finds out. No remorse. Just strategy. I didn't respond to her text. Instead, I called Olivia. I think I'm making a mistake, I said when she answered. My mom called. She's devastated. Bethany's texting me, trying to get me to back down. What if I'm just doing this for revenge? What if? Stop, Olivia interrupted firmly. Bethany is crying because she's facing consequences for the first time in her life. Your mother is upset because she's losing control of the narrative. Neither of those things means you're wrong. But what if I am? I asked. What if I'm just being cruel? Amber, Olivia said, her voice gentle now. Revenge would be destroying them for the sake of destroying them. What you're doing is holding them accountable. There's a difference. How do you know? I asked. Because revenge would feel good, Olivia said. And you feel terrible. That's how I know you're doing this for the right reasons. She paused. You could let this go. You could forgive Dylan, take him back, pretend the affair never happened. You could let Bethany keep operating rent-free, absorb the $43,000 loss, and maintain the illusion of family harmony. But, I prompted. But then you'd be teaching them that there are no consequences for their actions. That they can hurt you and face no repercussions. And they'd do it again. Maybe not to you, but to someone else. To Leo. To the next person. She was right. This wasn't just about me anymore. Your father built you a fortress, Olivia continued. Not so you could hide in it. So you could stand on it. So you could show people that actions have consequences and lies eventually get exposed. What if everyone thinks I'm the villain? I asked. Some people will, Olivia admitted. Some people will always think you should have stayed quiet. Should have been nice. Should have protected your betrayers from their own choices. But those people aren't the ones who matter. I took a breath. Okay. I'm doing this. You're doing this, Olivia confirmed. And I'll be right there with you. 2 days later, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find my mother standing on the porch, looking older and more tired than I'd ever seen her. Can I come in? She asked quietly. I stepped aside and let her enter. We sat in the living room, the room where Dylan and I had hosted family dinners, celebrated holidays, pretended everything was fine. Bethany told me about the baby, Mom said finally. About Leo. About everything. I waited. I went to see Elodie, Mom continued. I asked her about the theft from 10 years ago. She showed me the documents. The police reports. Your father's notes about how Bethany tried to blame you. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I didn't want to believe it. I convinced myself it was a mistake. That your father was being too hard on her. That if I just loved her enough, supported her enough, she'd change. But she didn't, I said quietly. No, Mom agreed. She didn't. And I enabled her. I chose to protect her instead of holding her accountable. And in doing so, I failed you. I felt tears prick my eyes but didn't let them fall. I'm not asking you to forgive me, Mom continued. I'm not even asking you to call off what you're planning. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. What she is. What she's been doing. And I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. What changed your mind? I asked. I called Leo, Mom said. After Elodie told me about him, I found his number and called him. I wanted to hear his side of the story. And when he told me about the $12,000, about the pregnancy lies, about how Bethany looked him in the eye and told him they were building a future together while she was planning to disappear. Mom's voice broke. I couldn't deny it anymore. She reached across and took my hand. I'm not asking you to stop. I'm asking if I can be there. When you do it, I need to see it. I need to face the truth of what she is. I looked at my mother, really looked at her, and saw something I hadn't seen in years. Clarity. Painful, unwelcome clarity. Okay, I said. You can be there. With 4 days until the boutique relaunch, Sloane called a final strategy meeting. We sat in her conference room, me, Sloane, Olivia, and now my mother. Here's what's going to happen, Sloane said, laying out the timeline on a whiteboard. Saturday at 3 p.m., the boutique relaunch begins. Guests arrive, press arrives, family arrives. Bethany will give a speech about new beginnings. She pointed to the timeline. At 3:30 p.m., we enter. Amber, myself, 2 process servers, and Leo. We wait until Bethany's speech is underway and the room is full. Why wait? I asked. Because we want witnesses, Sloane explained. We want it on record. We want everyone to hear the same facts at the same time so no one can spin the narrative later. She continued, the process servers approach Bethany with the eviction notice and demand for back rent. They serve her publicly. If she accepts service gracefully, we're done. If she fights, if she tries to make you the villain, that's when we play the recording. Mom flinched at the mention of the recording. She'd listened to it the night before, in Elodie's living room. She'd cried through the entire thing. What about Leo? Olivia asked. Leo enters with us, Sloane said. His presence alone will be a statement. But whether he chooses to speak is up to him. That's not our call. She looked at me. Amber, you'll make a brief statement. Factual. Unemotional. You own the property. Bethany violated the lease. You're enforcing your rights as landlord. That's it. No accusations about the affair unless they force your hand. What if they do? I asked. Then we have the recording queued up and ready to play, Sloane said. But we give them a chance to do this with dignity first. Why? Mom asked quietly. Why give her that chance? Because that's the difference between justice and revenge, Sloane said. Justice is about accountability. Revenge is about humiliation. We're aiming for the former, even if we have to use the latter. The night before the boutique relaunch, I couldn't sleep. I kept going over everything in my mind. The evidence. The timeline. The things I would say. The things they might say. At 2 a.m., I got up and went to my father's study. I sat in his chair and reread his letter for probably the 100th time. Amber, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. Trust yourself. You're stronger than you know. The house is yours. The choice is yours. I love you. Dad. The choice is yours. He wasn't just talking about the house. He was talking about how I responded to betrayal. What kind of person I chose to be in the face of cruelty. I could choose silence. Forgiveness without accountability. Peace without justice. Or I could choose truth. Consequences. The uncomfortable, painful process of holding people responsible for their choices. My father had given me the tools. The trust. The documentation. The legal protections. But the choice of how to use them was mine. I pulled out a piece of paper and wrote down exactly what I would say tomorrow. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's something everyone needs to know. This boutique operates on property I own through the Willow Trust. My sister has not paid rent in 11 months. That's $43,000 in unpaid rent. I'm here to serve her with formal eviction notice and demand for payment. Brief. Factual. No accusations about the affair. No emotional appeals. Just business. If Bethany or Dylan escalated, if they tried to make me the villain, then we'd play the recording. Then we'd reveal the fraud conspiracy. Then we'd show everyone exactly who they were. But we'd give them a chance first. That was the difference between justice and revenge. I woke up at 6 a.m. on the day of the boutique relaunch. I made coffee, took a shower, put on a white dress, simple, elegant, professional. Not a victim. Not a scorned wife. Just a woman handling business. Olivia arrived at noon with lunch I couldn't eat. You ready? She asked. No, I admitted. But I'm doing it anyway. That's called courage, Olivia said. Doing the thing that terrifies you because it's right. At 2:30 p.m., Sloane texted, process servers are in position. I'm parking now. See you at the entrance at 2:45. At 2:40 p.m., Leo texted, I'm here. Outside. Nervous but ready. At 2:45 p.m., I walked to my car. My mother was waiting by her car, looking small and fragile in a gray suit. "Are you sure you want to be there?" I asked her. She nodded. "I need to see it. I need to face what I enabled." We drove separately to the boutique. Parked in different spots. Walked to the entrance from different directions. At 2:50 p.m., we all converged. Sloan. 2 process servers in suits. Leo, looking terrified but resolute. Olivia. My mother. Me. "This is it," Sloan said. "Once we go in, there's no turning back." "Are you absolutely sure?" I thought about my father. About the fortress he'd built. About 10 years of Bethany facing no consequences. I thought about Dylan's words on that recording, "She's too weak to fight." I thought about every time I'd made myself smaller to keep the peace. Every time I'd absorbed someone else's cruelty to avoid conflict. "Not anymore." "I'm sure," I said. And we walked through the doors. The boutique looked like something out of a magazine. White drapes billowing. Champagne towers sparkling. String quartet playing. Flowers everywhere. Bethany had spent a fortune on this relaunch. Money she didn't have. Money she owed me. The room was packed. 50, maybe 60 people. Local press with cameras. Fashion bloggers taking photos. Family friends. Our extended family. And there was Bethany, standing on a small platform at the center of the room, radiant in a white silk dress, her baby bump now visible, holding a microphone. "So grateful to all of you for being here today," she was saying. "This boutique represents new beginnings. Fresh starts. The courage to build something beautiful even when." The moment we entered, conversations stuttered and died. People recognized me. Whispers started immediately. Bethany's eyes found mine across the room. The microphone slipped in her hand. Her face drained of color. Her hand moved protectively to her stomach, an instinctive gesture that made several people gasp. I took a breath and stepped forward. "I'm sorry to interrupt," I said, my voice carrying across the suddenly silent room. And everything changed. What happened in the next 20 minutes will be remembered by everyone in that room for the rest of their lives. The eviction papers served in front of 50 witnesses. Leo's confrontation about the pregnancy and the stolen $12,000. The recording of them planning fraud played for everyone to hear. My mother's choice to stand with me instead of Bethany. Dylan's desperate lies. And Bethany's final attempt to play the victim. Episode 6 is the confrontation you've been waiting for. The public reckoning. The moment where everything I'd gathered, everything I'd prepared, came out in front of everyone who mattered. Thank you for listening to episode 5. I know this one was harder to hear. Less action, more doubt. More of me questioning whether I was doing the right thing. And honestly, I still think about that question. Even now, looking back, I wonder sometimes if I could have handled it differently. If there was a way to hold them accountable without making it so public. But I also know that private conversations with Bethany had never led to change. That Dylan had been lying to my face for a year. That silence had protected them, not me. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe and share it. Because what happens next in episode 6 is the kind of story that needs to be told. Not for entertainment, but because it shows what happens when you finally stop absorbing other people's cruelty. And I want to ask you something I genuinely wrestle with. Do you think I did the right thing? Going public with this at her event, in front of everyone? Some people will say I should have handled it privately. That airing family business in public is never the answer. That I was being cruel. Others will say she deserved it. That public consequences are the only thing that works with people like Bethany. That I was protecting future victims. I don't know which is right. Maybe both. Maybe neither. Leave a comment and tell me honestly. If you were in my position, with all the evidence I had, with everything they'd done, would you have done the same thing? Or would you have found another way? Episode 6, I exposed them in front of everyone, is available now. It's the longest episode in the series because so much happens in those 20 minutes. The confrontation. The revelations. The moment my entire family had to choose sides in real time. You've made it this far. You need to see how this plays out. I'll see you in episode 6. Because sometimes the truth doesn't care about your comfort. It just cares about being told.